What's up, folks? Welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. Got a big story today. A double header here. I got Juan O Savin with me. Juanito. Can you hear me, Juanito?
Nino.
Well, okay. So let's first talk about Tina Peters, and then we're going to talk about China has thrown their hat into the ring. They have now entered the building. China is now in Venezuela. So this is getting crazy. This whole thing is getting nuts. Is that going to stop or halter anything that we do there? I'm going to ask Juanito all these questions. First one, I think you wanted to kick it off with Tina.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody keeping the heat on over at the White House. The White House has made a formal request beyond what Todd Blanche asked last week for Tina to be remanded to federal custody. It was a formal request from the White House to Colorado to turn Tina over to federal custody. The reason they ask for it that way is it just avoids all the hassle in courts and everything else. Doesn't force the president to have to go, to another level unnecessarily. And trust me, that's the thumbscrews getting turned. But they're not going to sit on it very long. And as I've said, the White House president need to own this. They shouldn't be looking to governor or courts who've already shown their political, gamesmanship, if you will. They have a political prisoner. Everybody knows she's a political prisoner, and they're not going to let her go because it serves their purposes. The other side of the coin is now the administration has to crank up the heat. So this is a first step. She just got her x-ray yesterday. She was back. Was extremely weak. She couldn't even go call on the phone hardly to let people know that she was okay this morning, but she did spend her night in the cell last night. She describes this, my chief of staff was talking with Pat Byrne earlier today, and Pat was mentioning that, he's a cancer survivor. He has gone through this since he was a teenager.
Jeez.
And, he's had like 160 procedures, and it's just, it's brutal. And heart goes out to Tina, but he understands, you sometimes detect things that are hard to articulate to the doctors, yet you just know. And Tina said this is like when she got diagnosed the first time, they just couldn't find it. And then all of a sudden, by the time they found it, it was already to a point where they had to remove a third of her lung. And this feels like that. She just got the cough that won't go away, and total exhaustion, things like that. So
time's ticking.
Clock is ticking, man. You know that in order to, there's a tipping point for your body. She needs to be out, get a chance to fight, and everybody needs to up the game. And so the White House is responsive. There was like 1 million views on one of the posts that just came out with that official note that they had formally asked for Tina Peters to be remanded to federal custody. I'd keep the emails going to the White House. I wouldn't back off till it's done, because it is done.
Just keep putting the pedal the pedal to the metal, right, Juan?
Yeah, there's a lot of important things. We're going to talk about Venezuela and China in a moment, but any victories that we have, including with the election stuff and like that, are going to feel very shallow if such an important and iconic person in this whole fight is allowed to just be a byproduct of that process.
Just basically discarded.
Well, what more can I say? 1.5 years, and the whole time, everybody knew that it was just a political prisoner thing. That Trump for 6 months, he's been saying, get her out, get her loose, get her free. Says don't people over 6 months, and they just have been, all of them impotent to get it done.
You would think when the president says get her out of there, the doors would fly open in that moment and she'd be out.
In military terms, when the commander says something like that, asses jump, feet fly, people get things done. It's all elbows and assholes. And in this case, the people close to him just don't seem to be able to figure it out. And so at some level, it falls back to the president himself to figure it out. Get everybody on the phone, listen to all their versions, find out where the blockage is, who's got the disagreement, whatever the problem is, figure it out. Just figure it out.
So let's get to, just for a moment, let's pivot over to China. Now, I mean, we're there. We have our battleships there, aircraft carriers there. I've seen videos of China flexing a little bit with aircraft flying around our battleships, kind of putting the pressure on us. But now they're sending, from what I understand, troops to Venezuela. What kind of reinforcements are they sending to Venezuela? And will that stop the process that we're already in?
Well, what China has done is they've said we're going to have a no tariffs agreement with Venezuela, with Maduro. And but Venezuela doesn't make anything. Their population is,
they make fentanyl with China.
Yeah, well, that's true. In South Africa, the fentanyl that's getting into South Africa and then up to Europe is coming over on Chinese ships directly from Venezuela. So you see these little boats getting blasted out of the water. China's big stuff has been going there, getting fentanyl, going over to the coast of South Africa. They get 15, 18 miles offshore, and then people come out in skiffs, and they'll take abalone, which is very, very valuable, and other seafood out to the ship and trade it for fentanyl. And then it goes up through South Africa and into through North Africa into Europe. And they make massive amounts of money on it. That's been part of the drug trade. And in fact, President Trump, South Africa is going to end up being tied very directly with Venezuela. We have a $50 million bounty on Maduro for his drug trafficking and his assistance with terrorism as a terrorist leader. And he's not there in office legitimate from the people in Venezuela. So he's a lawless leader who is there through, he's tied in to the same group, same operations as 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗶𝗹 over in South Africa. The president of South Africa, the one that President Trump had in the Oval Office with all of his advisors, and then he pantsed them right there in public over the killing of the white African farmers and their funerals, and showed all the videos. And 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗶𝗃 was like, "Oh golly, I'm shocked, I tell you, and total bullshit." President Trump has referred 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃 over to the Justice Department, and they're preparing to put down an indictment of 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃 that will mirror the indictment of Maduro. And so I would expect a similar $50 million bail or a bond. And so China is stepping in because these are footholds, toeholds for a lot of other things they're doing. So they've sent a shot across the bow, not to the rest of the world, but only to America primarily. We're going to do trade with Venezuela. We're going to get oil out of Venezuela, and don't mess with our trade partner. And China's going to suck the oil out of those fields. So the largest oil fields in the world, bigger than Saudi Arabia, are in Venezuela. Their largest field is known as Rockefeller Field. And so China's going to be in there operating that. And the question is, do we in China want to face off? They're going to want to run their ships in and out, their tankers in and out. What's going into China on those ships in the form of things to continue manufacturing drugs and other stuff? And what's coming out of China on those ships? Is it more drugs going to other places? We'll have to see. But the Trump administration, they anticipated these types of actions. So don't think that we're shocked and surprised. We're not. It's just, China's responding. They're backing their buddy, their partner. which includes Maduro, an exporter
So
of
what is
terrorism
this?
and drugs.
What does this do for the timeline? I mean, of us striking Venezuela, I mean, this puts a halt on everything, doesn't it? I mean, what do we do from here?
You know, we've let everybody know. We'll let China know too when we go in. And I mean, they're, you know, even stuff that I saw in the
Could it cause World War III?
Oh, I don't think any side is quite that ready to go there yet. But certainly we can do some pretty surgical stuff, and we'll let China know. If you got anybody in the way, get them the hell out of the way. If you're on a Venezuelan military base and we decide we're going to hit something, you know, you might have 15 minutes notice, but you better stay in contact with people, and all military targets are fair game.
So Maduro's gotten a
game.
lifeline. He's gotten what he asked for. And now it's going to be really surgical to get this guy.
Well, you know, they're surgical and they're surgical. Any military base, any military target at this point is probably fair game. And you can just bet. Here's one thing that a lot of people forget in the course of all this. While we've been getting ready to do things in Venezuela, just like we did before Desert Storm when we were in the Desert Shield zone, we went in and paid a lot of military commanders, police chiefs, political persons. We gave them deals to stand down, stay out of the way, tell their people to back off and stay out of the way. And so quietly behind the scenes, they picked a side, and we, you want to say surgically, went in and avoided those particular people and places. And we also gave them the enticement. You knew exactly where Maduro is at exactly a certain time, blah, 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 and we're successful in finding him. That's that 50 million. We'll pay it to whoever does the job. It's just what we need, okay? So Venezuela internally is very disrupted. And Maduro himself can't trust even his most trusted people. He's in a hell of a bind. And he'd like to work a deal with the United States. He'd like China to be able to protect him, but they're not really going to be able to. So even though China's in there, they're trying to make it difficult. We'll let them know, hey, you know, you're in the way. You're going to get hurt. Fair warning. Don't do it. You want a trigger? There's the trigger. And we'll see how that goes. But we shouldn't be afraid to do the right thing here, and we're not.
But you've said after Venezuela or simultaneously, we're going to be going into Africa.
Well, yes, because Africa, so much of what's going on there affects the whole world also. And,
well, I mean, is it really for the Christian genocide, or is it for minerals? Or both?
Oh, hold on. Let me make sure everybody here understands this. We have all the rare earth materials we need right here in the continental United States and Alaska. Everything we need. We are going to other places and working deals because we want to have the world be stabilized, and we want people to decide they want to partner with us. We're casting a bigger net. We don't need any of these people, except that within the way the world works, we're in a global war. And we are being confronted by forces and powers that are global in nature. And we've been forced through all sorts of backdoor deals from within our own government, USAID, World Economic Forum, all sorts of bullshit, where we've been paying for a lot of mischief all over the world. So we need to go back and take corrective action and help those people too. We can't save America over the dead bodies of these other countries. In fact, that was part of the thing that was disturbing Marjorie Taylor Greene. The president was upset and kind of disowned her the other day. I hope it's only temporary, but she'd been criticized.
Why do you hope it's temporary? She's completely gone against the party.
Well, here's the deal. People think again and they, you know, straighten out or whatever, but she was upset with President Trump and the party because they're paying attention all over the world and seemingly not here in the United States, which really isn't a true statement. Part of getting America stable is getting the area out past the wire stable, okay? you have to think more globally. And a lot of these groups, man, they are scary, dangerous in these other places, the things that they can do back to here. So better to fight the enemy over there than here. And so part of what the objective has been is to force them to fight closer to their home, where they're more vulnerable, and not be able to export these problems to us here on U.S. soil. So focusing on things other parts of the world is not contrary to this policy of stabilization for America. It's part of the policy of stabilization, and you got to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. And so, yes, there's big things happening other places. You know, you want to stop drugs on the street in the United States? Forget the bullshit, get the bull. Venezuela is the bull. They are the ones that are creating that shit, okay? You want to get to China, but you can't do China quite yet, other than the tariffs and like that. Well, you go get to those places that they're partnering up with that are part of the core of the problem. So South Africa, Venezuela, and even the people tied to Ukraine. You know, there's stuff that we tried to do all the way back in Trump's first term, all the way before he was elected first time around, going on over in Ukraine with the Biden crew and other political games, political criminal gangs related to the energy stuff, all the way back with Hillary and, you know, 15 other political families. And only just now are the prosecutors getting the information in Ukraine that they're proceeding with, you know, $100 million in payoffs here and there and other places. All the people that were benefiting before Ukraine went to war. And as I've said to your audience numerous times, the war in Ukraine, in part, is about covering over the trail to get to the money laundering through Ukraine, the political money laundering going on all over the world, and to so destroy all the people and places and evidence, etc., that you could never do prosecutions there. They're just covering the trail, and they're doing it over the bodies of millions of people. You know, when Putin said he's going to hold Nuremberg type trials in the Donbass, he's not kidding. Just like we're not kidding about Gitmo.
Okay,
we are going to have huge trials at Gitmo. Just just so everybody knows, it's coming.
All right, Juan, I appreciate this broadcast. Quick and urgent update, folks. So China has entered the building. Let's see how this plays out. Juan, where do people go? The JenniferMack.com, the JenniferMack.com.
Yeah, the JenniferMack.com, and probably shortly I'm going to have to up prices on the silver. I held it back because I knew that even though it surged forward, it was going to roll back the last couple of times. But it's shown that it's ready to break out, and as soon as it breaks out this next time, I expect it to, you know, the next real price point is 70, and it's pushed, you know, 55 a couple of times over the last 2 weeks, and it's just amazing. And so I'll have to do that. We have silver that we ordered when the price was down there around 45, and we'll sell that out probably this weekend by Monday at the latest, I'm sure. And then same thing over at JenniferMack.com. By the way, Jennifer has a really cool Megador tie over there, and I think it's in a little package or whatever, but tie for men. And she made like a really inexpensive package of a couple of things for fun. And so you might want to go over and take a look at that at JenniferMack.com. And I'll probably put that maybe even over at Gumroad too. But anyway, appreciate it always, Nino. And pray for Tina, but also making the calls. You know, I will tell you this, a bunch of people sent messages over to Dan Scavino. And because, you know, they turned off the White House line for taking comments. I mean, I think they got like 1 million. But Scavino has been responsive a little bit. And he's kind of a fun guy and very, very tight with the president. You know, sending him a note concerning Tina, if you're on X or in Truth Social or something, is probably not wasted time. And, you know, my main thing is that Tina was trending on Thursday at the top of the X posts and social media. I think we have to kind of keep it there while this works its way through the White
Yeah,
House.
we
is
can't let it
responsive.
fizzle out. We can't let it
No.
fizzle out.
It ain't done till it's done. And we've had a few surges previously, and it just didn't get done. The White House has formally requested that Colorado release TINA. They're still sitting on it. The court was going to respond on a habeas corpus, produce TINA, blah, 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 a month ago. We're 4 weeks out, and crickets. It's really not a common thing. Usually the court is very responsive on something like this. Crickets.
Well, this is war.
Her
This
health
is
is
war.
in the line. That's right. And she's iconic to the Patriot community, the president's community. So there's a point where the cup is full and the talk is over. And we're just asking that if the president's not getting advice on how to do this that allows them to get it done, maybe he needs to kick those advisors to the curb for a day or two and bring in other people. We have plenty of people that have paths forward that make a lot of sense. And,
Sounds good one.
you know, we need to get this done, you know.